Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Tuesday Night Live show for April 4th, 2023. I'm your host, Bob McMasters, and tonight we have a featured guest with a couple of years performing as Santa, but also used to be in law enforcement. So you better be good for goodness sake. We hope it's been a jingle of a week, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the show we have for you tonight. This is Tuesday Night Live. Thank you, everyone, for choosing us to spend your Tuesday night with. We're very grateful for all your support. And what else you going to do on a Tuesday night? At this time, please give a warm round of applause to my world famous, light on his feet, always thinking co host, here's Spangle.
Hey, everybody! Man, I'm so glad to be here. Whoa, yes. Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yeah, it's been a good week. I hope you've had a good week, Spangle, and we've got a fantastic guest tonight. So now let's say hi to our producer, our very own Angela Mack, on the board for us tonight. All right, this is episode 8. Can you believe it already? Episode 8, 2 months into this season already. My goodness. And on tonight's show, we have a Santa that has been taking leaps and bounds in his advancement and journey of becoming a great Santa. You can now watch the Tuesday Night Live show on your big screen. That's right. We've talked about it now for a few weeks. Live on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/ at the Tuesday Night Live show 1225. If you have not yet subscribed to our channel, please consider doing so while you're over there. Give us a like and a share. We certainly do appreciate it. It helps us grow and get our content out to everyone and broaden the show's footprint. Also, find us on Facebook as usual at the Tuesday Night Live show. We again thank you for that. The first half of tonight's Tuesday Night Live show trivia is brought to you by SchoolofSantas.com, hosted by the gentleman here with me in Branson, Missouri, where education and fun meet.
Wow, okay. The school in Branson, man. This week I've been out reviewing some shows because we go to the shows in Branson. I think we've got our entertainment all lined up now. But anyways, Branson is home to several noteworthy roadside record-setting attractions. The world's largest rooster is one that wears a star-spangled vest and bow tie and an American flag lapel pin. What is his name and how tall is he and where is he located at in Branson? All right, let's do that one more time. Branson is home to several noteworthy roadside record-setting attractions. The world's largest rooster is one that wears a star-spangled vest and a bow tie and an American flag lapel pin. What is his name? How tall is he? And where is he located in Branson?
And this should be easy for those who have been to the school. A little bit of a hint, hint, hint.
I like Michael Haldane.
What did Michael put up?
Skiing, snowboarding, and tubing.
From yesterday. Yes, very good, Michael. All right, so Love doing these trivia questions. Always fun. We had a tough one yesterday on the Monday show. It took them all the way to the end of the show to come up with the correct answer. Had a lot of fun with it, and so let's see how quick we can get this one tonight. And you know, I love the part that it's got the Star Spangled vest on. Very cool. All right, so let's go ahead and move along. Everyone put in the answers, and of course, we'll reveal that like we always do towards the end of the show. Right now, we'll be back in 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
The first half of tonight's Tuesday Night Live show is brought to you by SchoolOfSantas.com. Kick off your 2023 season with inspiration from the School of Santas, an annual premier educational opportunity where fun and education meet, and is held each year the third weekend in July in scenic Branson, Missouri. School of Santas prides itself in bringing in a variety of new instructors and presenters each year, which makes this school unique in the Christmas community. Offering quality education, training, and fun for only $359. Included in your tuition is 4 days of classes, Thursday through Sunday, and 4 fun nights of entertainment. 2 of these are in-house, along with 2 Branson theater shows, where the class can enjoy time out on the town. We kick off both nights with a parade, our annual School of Santas tribute to Daisy May. All meals provided during class served in-house include a total of 4 dinners and 3 lunches. And breakfast is also included if staying at the host hotel. To close out the weekend, we have the Sunday graduation reception with Elvis entertaining on stage. We also have our expanded StuffForSanta.com mobile store in-house all weekend along with other select premier vendors. Remember, School of Santas Branson, Missouri is where fun and education meet. For more information, or to reserve your $359 educational, fun vacation in Branson, contact Tanya Lay at 1-800-432-4202 or email Tanya at bransonticket.com. Hotel rooms are not included in the price. Reservations for your room at the American by Wyndham Branson and Conference Center can be made at the time of registration. Remember to contact Tanya at 1-800-432-4202 before it's too late. Now, back to tonight's show.
Let me throw this out there. The first session's only got like 2 or 3 seats left. We're over the 100 mark already. So if you wanted the first one, get in there quick. If you the second one's, we're about 60 right now, so we've got a little bit more to go, but we're gonna get there. Anyways, and let me just add this too here, because we talked about the Star Spangled Vest and we talked about Spangled here. I got my name Spangle on I changed my name to Spangle on the 1-year anniversary of 9/11. I was a clown, and I always am a clown, will always be a clown. But I changed it from my old clown name to Spangle because of 9/11. But anyway, so I just throw that out there. Hey, tonight's featured guest is joining us from his favorite place that is south of the North Pole, Reynoldsburg, Ohio. He loves to spend time with family and has been busy the last couple of years honing the craft of Santa by attending and hosting schools, gatherings, and events in Ohio with and for fellow Clauses. We are super excited to have joining the Tuesday Night Live show our featured guest, Santa Ben Bellhorn. Put your hands together.
Hi, Ben. Looking good, brother. Are
Thank
you
you.
ready? Are you excited? Are we just all giddy over this?
I'm just really excited.
Very good. Well, this is not the first interview of the last couple of weeks, and we'll talk about that more here in just a moment. But we are stoked to have you joining us and really excited to get started here. We're always interested to know how each of our guests got started becoming a Santa entertainer. And for many of us, we either had dreams of being a Santa or, was asked by someone. You have a really cool story of what your inspiration was. Can you tell us about that, Ben?
It's funny. I never had any interest or dreams in becoming a Santa. My aunt had a professional Santa Claus suit, and as on my dad's side of the family, the cousins, each of us got suckered into being Santa Claus different years, and it was and I can say this because it was a fake beard. It was not a traditional or designer beard. It was a fake beard that was stuffed in the bag with the suit, and so I did that a few times in my teens, and then my first paid job was my aunt called me and she said, the Eagles Club is looking for a Santa. Would you do it? And I said, no, I'm not interested in doing that. And she's like, oh, come on, please do it. I said, no, I'm not interested. She goes, it pays $75. I said, okay, I'll do it. And so I went and did it. And as 19, 20 years old, it was nice for a half hour to make that money. And then that was the end of it. When my oldest son was born, we got a Santa Claus suit. The reindeer are acting up upstairs. Sorry. I got a Santa Claus suit and wore it for a couple years when my oldest was born. And then when I got to where I thought they might recognize me, I put it away and put it up in the attic to where nobody could see it. And then in 2017, Logan, my youngest, came home from school the last day before Christmas break and announced that there's no Santa Claus. And my heart sunk. I have 3 boys from 22 now to 12. So, and I wasn't ready for that. And I said, what do you mean there's no Santa Claus? And he said, well, they told me at school there was no Santa Claus. And so we spent the next couple days leading up to Christmas trying to reinforce that there was a Santa Claus. And Christmas Eve, everybody went to bed. And my wife was supposed to help me put the presents under the tree. And she's upstairs asleep in bed. And so about 4 o'clock in the morning, I have all the presents under the tree. And in my mind, I can hear his voice, Logan's voice. There's no Santa Claus. There's no Santa Claus. And I thought, somewhere in our attic, we have a Santa Claus suit. And so at 4 o'clock in the morning, I climbed up in the attic and I found the Santa Claus suit and put it on. And it was too small, which really does not do anything for you when you find out a Santa Claus suit is too small for you. So I put it on and I went and woke Melissa up and I went over, I'm standing over the bed and I tapped on her and I said, Melissa, honey. And she rolled over and she looked at me and she said, I don't know what you have in mind, but I'm really not interested. And I said, what? No. I said, here's what I want you to do. From where our bedrooms come together, there's a landing and you can see downstairs where the Christmas tree is. I said, I just want you to take a couple pictures of me. And so we went down and I put on the suit. I had the suit on and I was, adjusting the tree and putting presents out. And she took pictures. And so the next morning when Logan got up and the boys all got up, I showed Logan the pictures on my phone. I said, Logan, I heard a noise last night. I thought somebody broke in the house. And these are the pictures I took. And they're pictures of Santa Claus in our living room. And he was flipping through the pictures and his eyes got huge. And he said, Dad, can I take your phone to school with me? And I said, no, you can't. But he went from not believing at all to completely believing, to believing last year when he went to Sat Bob school with me. And we sat there and he said, I believe Santa Claus is real. And I think he's sitting over there at that table with us. And so that was, in 2017, I didn't start becoming a Santa Claus, but that certainly planted the seed. And then a couple years later in 2020, I worked for the Transit Authority here in Columbus. And I got sent to a blockage where they said there were a bunch of police cars blocking the street. And so I went over and checked on, and there were hundreds of police cars all over one of the schools here. And so I pulled in and I asked one of the police officers, said, what's going on? And he said, it's called Light the Night. And I said, I don't know what that is. And he said, well, what we do is we caravan all the way over to Children's Hospital and we do a little show. And they've got an armored personnel carrier and they've got Santa Claus hanging out of the top of the armored personnel carrier. And they said, why don't you join us? And I had my supervisor car with the strobes and everything. And so as we left, everybody turned on the strobes and it was a procession and we divided the city in half. It was probably 6 miles from the hospital to from the university to Children's Hospital. And it was a nonstop procession all the way. And as we got in front of the hospital, everybody turned off all their lights and the cruisers all lined up on the street. So both directions of the street, it's like 5 lanes, all the cruisers, fire trucks, police cars, sheriff's cruisers, from everywhere. And then all at once, they turned on all the lights and they're just flashing lights for as far as you can see. And I was sitting there looking at him like, this is so cool. And I looked over and there's Santa Claus hanging out of the armored personnel carrier waving. And I looked up at the hospital and you couldn't see the people, but you could see the lit rooms and you could see the silhouettes of all the children in the rooms. And I got teary and I thought, oh my, I said, I want to do this. I want to be Santa Claus. And so that was, well, just before Christmas in 2020. And so I spent the next year learning everything I could. I found Worldwide Santa Claus Network and ClausNet, and I was watching videos. I was in my car at work. I would just play videos, and I'd listen to them all day long and get it. And then about April of 2021, my wife and I went out to breakfast. And it was the first time we had gone out to eat post-COVID. And so we're sitting there at the restaurant, and I'm sitting across from her, and I thought, I'm going to tell her. She has no idea that I've spent the last months watching these videos, and then I've decided I want to be Santa Claus. And so I said, Melissa, I said, I was thinking I'd like to be Santa Claus, and I'd like to buy a Santa Claus suit, but you can buy a Santa Claus suit for like $200. You can spend $3,000 or $2,000 for a Santa Claus suit. And I thought I'd spend $400 or $500 on a Santa Claus suit and see how it goes, and maybe get a nicer one in a couple of years. And she said, why would you spend $500 on a Santa Claus suit this year just to spend $2,000 on a Santa Claus suit in 2 years? I said, because I thought you'd think I was completely crazy and you would never go for it. And she did. And I found a wonderful, amazing, I can't say enough about my seamstress. She made a beautiful suit for me. And I had a fairly successful first year as a Santa Claus. And it's been a roller coaster ride since then. It's been amazing.
That is such a cool story. Absolutely love that. Was you going to say something else? Did I cut you off, Ben?
No, I sent you a couple pictures of.
Yes. Right now, we're going to run this little short video of what Ben just talked about. That will kind of put a visual on it for everyone. So here we go.
Now, there's
Great,
a couple
fantastic.
pictures there. You see, I finally got in the top of the armored personnel carrier too. But there's a picture that we'll talk about, the one with the police officer standing behind me. We'll talk about that at some point. That was, we'll try to talk about that one.
All right, over to you, Spangle.
All right, I thought that when it was behind you that he kind of got you, and then that was you trying to escape out the top of the armored personnel carrier. But anyways, Ben, going back to your childhood, what was the one or two of your favorite Christmas memories?
Oh, Christmas was magical. I mean, so if you ever, the movie A Christmas Story, Christmas, even though that was, the time period doesn't match up, we had a lot of those things here in Columbus. So Lazarus, downtown Columbus, we would load up, and it seemed like it took all day to get there, but I never lived more than a half hour away from downtown Columbus. I guess as a child, my parents got lost on the way there, or it just took a lot longer to get there back then. But we'd go to Lazarus, and they had the windows, and they had the animatronic things in the windows. And then you go into the Lazarus store, and you go down the escalator, and they had Mr. Tree, which was this big tree, and he would talk to you and all that. And they had a Secret Santa where they would pin an envelope to the back of your shirt with some money in it, and it had a list that, I'm buying presents for mom and dad and my brother and whatever. And so my little brother, who is 5 years younger than me, we went into the Secret Santa and we shopped and we got the presents. And my little brother he's still very small. But we did our Secret Santa. And one year we were driving home and he's in the backseat of the car and he's pulling out these presents he bought from the Secret Santa. And we're driving and we probably only had $20 or $30 that mom and dad gave us to shop, and he had way more than $20 or $30 worth of stuff. And what they figured out was he was so small that when we walked in, they couldn't see him over the counter. And he still had the envelope pinned to his back and still had the money in it. And he went through there and just stole all the stuff he wanted, put it in his bag, and we left and all that. But that experience was amazing. And that I actually don't remember visiting Santa Claus. And I asked my mom just a couple weeks about that. I said, I know we went. I remember going there. I remember the windows. I remember Mr. Tree. I remember the magic of it, but I don't remember Santa Claus. And she pointed out that the Santa Clauses we went to see were just a guy in a chair who didn't have the magic. And actually, up until just a couple of years ago, I thought that's what it was. When Melissa and I took the boys to see Santa Claus here, we would leave and say that was a wonderful Santa Claus. But what we meant was that guy looked like Santa Claus, because there was no story. There was no magic, or there was no experience in it. It was just the pictures. And so those events there, and with my dad's friends, we always went as a group. We went to one of my dad's friends' houses, and we'd have breakfast and all that. And then we'd go cut down our tree. And so Christmas was just a huge event. It was event after event after event. And it was amazing. And I hope that we've shared that with our boys as they've gotten older.
Very nice. All right, now let's ask you this. What was your favorite Christmas gift as a boy, and what was there now since you became an adult?
Well, my favorite Christmas gift as a boy, I remember the year we got the Atari 2600. It had one button. It wasn't like video games they have now. And we actually got it on Christmas Eve. I don't know. I didn't know why at the time. I've later learned that the reason we got it Christmas Eve is so Dad could play it after we went to bed. And so we had the Atari 2600 we got a phone call from Santa Claus, and he told us there was something on the front porch we had to go look for. And we went out, and we didn't have a lot. I mean, we didn't realize we didn't have a lot of money, but we didn't have a lot of money growing up. And so getting that was huge. And so we went out and got that. Trains were always a big. I remember my dad had Lionel trains that were around the tree. They'd go around the tree, and then eventually they went under the table, and then they went under the couch, and they went around the room. That's probably why my parents eventually got divorced, because my dad didn't do anything small. It was always much bigger. But I remember getting my own train, and it was the G.I. Joe train that just went around in circles. But those were the best presents I ever have. And now I've got my dad's trains. I got a whole bunch of them, and they're so precious to me.
Very cool.
And then I'm sorry, I didn't answer what my best gift as an adult was. In 1997, my dad was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer in October, November. And if you know, pancreatic cancer it's the at worst. And they told him to go home and try to enjoy Christmas because that's all he had. And so we went home, and we had a wonderful Christmas. And he had the same one that Steve Jobs had. And my dad lasted 10 years. Steve Jobs lasted 8. But we went on, and after, Christmas came, my girlfriend at the time, we said, well, what are we waiting for? Well, let's get married. Let's see if maybe your dad can make it to our wedding. And so we got married that August, and he made it to August. And then we said, well, let's see if we can have a kid. And so got pregnant, and I wish we would have tried longer, but it worked out pretty quick. Got pregnant, and we had Bailey, and he had to experience all that. And a few years later, we had CJ, and my dad was there for those. And each Christmas, each event, each holiday, he loved Halloween. He loved Christmas. Those were the best gift I could ever get, is that after being told that my dad had one Christmas, and then to have had him, he made it to 2007. So 10 years. That is by far the best gift I've ever had.
All right. Wow. That's amazing. That's great. All right, Ben, you attended Santa Tim's International University of Santa Claus classes last weekend and got to do something fun. Tell us about being in the NBC4 local news story big celebrity.
I don't know about fun. I was terrified. Tim had posted on one of the emails that we had that there'd be a new filming crew showing up, and I had sent out press releases to all the networks and the newspaper and everybody. I didn't expect anybody paying attention to it, and so we were sitting there in class, and I looked in the back, and there's a lady and a guy with a camera, and so I went back and talked to him, and she asked me, she goes, "Well, who would be a good person to interview?" And in my mind, not this guy. And I said, well, Tim, he's the instructor. He'd be good. And I scanned the room and I said, well, there's Michael Howe. And if you've ever talked to Michael Howe, he obviously would be a great person to interview. He's fantastic. And so I said, Michael Howe over there. And she said, okay. And so I knew that I should do the interview. I knew I didn't want to do the interview, but I knew I should. And so as it got to time where we were going to do the interview, they got their B-roll stuff. Michael came over and he said, Ben, you should. I said, I should do the interview. And he said, yeah. And so I did. And it wasn't as bad as I thought. It didn't dawn on me at the time. That was easy compared to this, because this is live and I could mess this up completely and it's just going to go out there. But she wants it to be good. I mean, not that you guys don't want it to be good, but because it's live, she wants it to be good and they're filming it. And so if I completely messed it up, they would just cut that out and redo it. I wish somebody would have pointed that out before I did the interview. But I think it went good. I was able to put the video on my website, so use this promotional work. And it was a lot of fun.
Okay, but they can cut that out and let you redo it again, but you do understand you will always be in their blooper roll.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, and to Ben, their audience is a lot larger than ours is. And, I've got to agree with you. When we first started kicking the bucket of doing this type of show, we were sitting around one night, chatting about it, trying to plan in the future. And the one thing that scared me to death was going live and making a fool of myself. And, I think the audience kind of likes that. They like to see the real side of us. If we mess up, we mess up.
Right.
So it's really no big deal.
That's why you picked this guy.
Hey, Spangle makes us all look good. All right, Ben. Now, I took this little bit of a phrase from something that you had posted a little while back, but you was talking about Kimmy Claus, and you said she is such a workhorse, and you and her work together to decorate the classroom for Santa Tim School. And I know that you guys have been involved in a couple of projects like that. Tell us about it and how important has her help been?
Well, you're wrong there. We did not work together to decorate the room. She decorated the room, and I played with the top of a tree because it was. I am not good at that. Even our tree here, putting the lights on, I am not good at that. And so, if she told the story, I would get the bottom part of the tree out, and I'd start unfolding all of the branches. And this is stupid. This is ridiculous. I'm not doing it. And so I sit down. And a few minutes later, I'd pick it up and I'd start again. And then I figured out that the top part of the tree is much easier to do. But before the school, she asked me, she goes, do you have decorations for the tree or for the room? And I said, well, no. And she says, don't you think you should have decorations for the room? I said, well, yeah, but I didn't think that far into it. And she said, well, I have some. Well, she didn't say, I'll bring some. She said, I have some. And I said, well, okay. Do you want to bring them? And she said, yeah, she would. And so she brought 3 trees, a backdrop, the stand for the backdrop. She brought all kinds of stuff. And she set it up. And then while we were setting it up, we're there. And she said, next time we do this, and I'm just trying to get through Thursday night, trying to get things set up for Tim to show up. And next time we do this, we got to do a fundraiser. A fundraiser? We got trees we're setting up. What are you crazy? And she said, we got to do a fundraiser. And I said, yeah, okay, fine. And so we finished decorating the room, and I went home, and I was talking to Melissa, my wife. And I said, you're never going to guess what Kimmy said. And she said, we got to do a fundraiser when we do these schools. And Melissa said, yeah, you should. Well, I've been married long enough to know that if 2 women tell you that it's a good idea, you do it. And so I was trying to think what we could do. And in my mind, I remembered that we had 50-50 raffle tickets in the garage over my workbench. But Melissa says she told me that we did. Obviously, she's right. So I took the 50-50 raffle tickets. I said, okay, I have these. And I said, what can we do? What will the raffle tickets be for? And I remembered a visit I did this year, which was amazing. It's the one that with me with a police officer, the picture we showed, and it was for Angel Works. And I'm getting way off topic of setting up the room, but we did a fundraiser for that. And so Kimmy, she was part of all that. And I was part of helping her do all that stuff. And then the most amazing part of it is after the school was over, I had to drive Tim to the airport. And in my mind, on the way back from, Logan and I were driving to the airport, taking Tim there. On the way back, I'm like, oh, we got to clean up all that room. There's so much to clean up. I'm going to be here all night doing it. And I've got my friends from Michigan, they're here. I really want to go do stuff with them. And we got back there, and Kimmy, I don't know how she did it. She had everything taken down. It was all cleaned up. I mean, the airport's only like 20 minutes away from the hotel. So maybe less than an hour I was gone, and she had it all cleaned up and packed up. She is amazing. And she has such big plans for the Mrs. Clauses, and we're going to do part of the Ohio Santas. We're going to bring her Mrs. Claus in, and great plans. I can't wait.
Very cool. But now we got a video now.
No, we already did a video.
Okay, I thought we were doing another. Okay, how cool was it to see Nagel the elf, Logan's eyed up with Santa Tim?
Logan is amazing. So he's 12 years old now, and he wants to be my elf. And so last year, he went and he came to Gordon's school. We hosted Sat Bob's, and Gordon came and taught the school, and Logan came, and he sat in for most of the class. He found out there were video games in the basement where we hosted it. And so he went there and played video games a little bit, but he kept coming back up, and really, he was a big part of the class. He loves the whole thing. We gone to see Spangle when he's come to town 2 years in a row, and he's, can I go? Can I go? And I said, yes. And so when Tim came, so Friday night, I said, Logan, do you want to come to school tomorrow, to the Santa school? And he said, I don't know. I said, all right, I'm not forcing him to. And so we went to bed. I got up bright and early and went to school, and I got a call from him at like 8:30 in the morning. And he said, did you forget about me? And I said, no, I didn't forget about you. I asked you if you wanted to come to school. He goes, well, I thought you'd ask again. I said, well, I thought once was enough. And he said, well, I didn't say I wanted to go. I said, when I asked you, you said, I don't know. And he said, that's not what I said. I said, well, what did you say? He said, I don't know. I said, I think that you and I just said the same thing, but we have different ideas of what it means. And he's like, no, I wanted to come. And so Melissa brought him over. And so he was there for 3/4 of the first day and all of the second day. And he was involved. He raised his hand, answered questions, had ideas. Tim said one thing, and I forget exactly what it was, but Logan raised his hand. He goes, so would that be the exception to what you just said? And Tim kind of got a little smile on his face. And we're driving back from the airport, and Logan's still sitting in the back seat, and he goes, wasn't that amazing? And I said, what? He goes, we were right there with Tim. He was right there in front seat with us. I know. I was like, it was pretty cool, wasn't it? And so he recognizes what the Hall of Fame Santas are, and he sees how big a deal it is. And he thinks I'm going to be a Hall of Fame Santa. And I was like, oh, no, there's a lot of other people that would be there long before I would. But it's nice that he sees that in me. And it's amazing. It is seeing that awe in his face. That's amazing.
We know that Logan is up there watching it on the big screen TV up there. He's watching the YouTube channel, the Tuesday Night Live Show 1225, which everybody else can catch it. So big fist bump to my bud Logan, man, because he's a good kid and I like him a lot. Anyways, talk about the effort it has taken and how you went about organizing the Ohio Santas.
Ohio Santas was never supposed to be that big a deal. So there's a bunch of online groups, Facebook groups for Santas, obviously. And I had a question my first year that I needed answered right away. And so I posted it on the Worldwide Santa Claus Network and another Facebook group. And I got all kinds of answers from the Worldwide Santa Claus Network, but I didn't get any other answers from people that are close by. And I thought, you know what? Maybe I could start a group. And if I could get 9 or 10, a dozen people who are local to Ohio that could help answer the questions, wouldn't that be great? And so I started the group, and I've got some background in graphic design and web building and things like that. And so I don't do anything small. I go overboard on a lot of things. And so I created the Facebook group, and I came up with a logo. I was like, I like the logo. Yay. And then within a very short time, I had like 100 members of Ohio Santas. And I was like, whoa, there's something to this. And I was like, I need to organize this better. And there's things I can do for the members. I can help promote the members. And if you're Spangle, if you're a member of the Ohio Santas and I promote you, it helps me too. If I promote Bob, it helps me too. So it helps all of us be better. And then I met the Michigan Santas, and I went up to the Red Suit Conclave, and you hear the things they are. And I come back, I'm like, so now I see what I want Ohio Santas to be. And so all the things I'm doing is working to get it to where it's giving back. And so we hosted the Sat Bob School last year, Tim's School this year. I have some ideas for next year. Can't wait to share them. I haven't got it out there yet, though. And so last year was getting members. This year it was like, okay, there's a reason for it. So I had to get more organized, and we had to create an application process, or not really an application, but a survey process to get names, because we really didn't have names. We just had whatever your Facebook, your Facebook name might be that Santa down the street, and I don't know who that is. And so we had to create a thing so we get names and all that, so we could better promote each other. And we got the Mrs. Clauses in there, and we've got some big ideas with those. And so I spend way more time and money on it than I should, especially with Melissa. She doesn't think I need to spend all that, but I'm having a blast doing it.
Yeah, and it's important what you are doing, and you have really just stepped it up by far. Real quick, I want to catch a comment over here on the side. Melissa Santamel wants to know, what are you drinking over there, Ben?
I'm drinking sweet tea, and everything tastes better in a Kringle Tracker mug.
Fantastic. She also followed that up with Hall of Fame material for sure. So,
thank you.
All right, moving right along here. You offer home visits, photo sessions, business events, virtual visits. So, out of that category, which is your favorite? And tell us about a few of the fun gigs that you've done.
The home visits are my absolute favorite. I love doing the home visits. I love an hour of essentially one-on-one time or group time with the children. And my first year, I was a nervous wreck, and I would go in there and I'd visit. I'd read The Night Before Christmas, and I started off reading it. By the end of the season, I pretty much had it memorized, but that's what it was. My second season, all the training I've done and the schools I've gone to really came through, and I had stories, my own stories, stories from other people. And it got to the point where I'd do an hour visit for just a couple children, and the hour would end, and I'm like, we didn't have any downtime. We were just rolling through it. And so my home visits are by far my favorite. I've only done a couple of virtual visits, and they were a train wreck, really, or sleigh wreck, maybe. The best visit I've ever done, by far. And also, it was the hardest visit, the most fun visit. So the location that we had, Gordon School last year, was a friend of mine from high school. And in high school, we knew each other, but we became Facebook friends over the years. He's a realtor here in Central Ohio, and his realty office is an old bar. And so it still has the bar there. It still has the taps. They can't sell beer because they don't have a liquor license, so you can have beer for free, but they also have soft drinks. And so he welcomed us to have the class there at no charge. And so it was great. And then the Friday before Christmas, well, Christmas was on Sunday. So two Fridays before Christmas this year, he called me and he said, I have a lady here that wants to talk to you. And I said, oh, sure, Tom, what is it? And this lady, Ellie Height, who's an amazing woman, she said, I'm the founder of Angel Works, and we have young Alex, who's 7 years old, and he has terminal brain cancer. He's not doing well. And when we asked him what he wanted for Christmas, the only thing he wants is to meet Santa Claus. She goes, can you do a visit? And my brain said, no, you can't do that. You are not ready for that at all. But then I know that you can't say no to that. The answer is yes, no matter what. And I said, yeah, I can do that. I said, when do you want to do it? And she said, well, we don't know yet, but it has to be soon. He doesn't have a lot of time left. And I said, okay, well, I have Wednesday off next week. I'm off at 3:00 every day. I'll take a day off, whatever. You let me know what we need to do and we'll do it. And so she called me back on Tuesday and she said, we're going to do it tomorrow, Wednesday at 1:00. And I said, okay. I had a thing I was doing at noon. We'll make it work. And I said to her, I was like, do you have anything else you want to do? I was like, could you want to see if we can get the police to escort us into the neighborhood? And she goes, well, I wouldn't even know where to start doing that. And I said, well, let me see, make a couple phone calls and see what I can do. And so I called another friend from high school who's a Columbus police officer. And I said, hey, Mark, what would it take to get a couple police cars to escort us in for a visit, for a Make-A-Wish visit? And Mark said, well, send me an email with what you're trying to do. And I said, okay. So I sent him an email. And 2, maybe 3 hours later, I get a phone call from him. He's like, okay, here's what we've got. We've got about a dozen police cars. We've got the SWAT team. We've got the motorcycle unit. We have 2 canine units. And I think we're going to have the mounted unit, which we ended up not getting the horse unit, but he thought they were at the time. He said, I'm trying to get more, but that's what we have right now. And I was dumbfounded. I'm like, there's no way. You really? He said, yes. And I said, okay. And so I called Ellie and I said, Ellie, this is what we got. She said, oh, that's wonderful. Oh my God, I can't believe it. And she goes, I'm trying to track down a sleigh now. I said, a sleigh? And she said, yes. I said, do you want me to see if I can find a sleigh? And she said, sure. And so I posted on the Ohio Santa's Facebook page that I was looking for a sleigh and what it was for. And I got a phone call or a message. I forget. I got a message from Kenny Bass, who's another Santa Claus who I've never met. He lives like 10 minutes from my house. And he's like, I've got a sleigh. And it's a 3-wheeled golf cart that's been converted into a sleigh. He's like, you can use it. I'll bring it over, whatever you need to do. And I said, that'd be great. And then he said, well, do you have a trailer? He goes, I have a enclosed trailer, and then I have a landscaping trailer, but it's got sides on it, so it kind of hides the view of it. And I said, well, my cousin posted on Facebook this week that he got a new trailer. And so I called him and got a trailer. So what happened was all these people came together. And so we got a trailer, put the sleigh in the trailer. We had all these police cars escort us in. Now, Alex, 7 years old, from Friday to Wednesday, he had taken a downturn. He couldn't talk anymore. So on Friday he could talk still. By Wednesday he couldn't talk anymore. And so we went in there. We did the visit. It was so much fun. The procession going in there and all that. It was great. And I didn't know what I was doing. I called some Santa friends of mine. I was like, this is what I'm doing. I don't know what to do. I'm scared to death. And they said, okay, here's what you need to remember. Don't ask how he's doing. Don't ask what he wants for Christmas. Just be there for him. I said, okay, got it. And so we went in there, we did the visit, and about 5 minutes into the visit, I hit like a brick wall. I was like, I don't know. I'm thinking, I don't know what to do. I don't know how long I'm supposed to be here. I don't know what else to say. And so I had it seemed like a long time. It's probably 30 seconds where I was like, I just don't know what to do. And then it dawned on me, just do your home visit. Just do your home visit. And so to everybody there, his family, his cousins, we did the visit. I tell a story that Santa Claus is on Mrs. Claus's naughty list because there's some confusion about what exactly one cookie means. It's a really long story, but I tell the story. And at the end, I ask the children, how many cookies do I have? And it's either going to be 5 cookies or 1 cookie. And Alex held up his hand. He said 1 cookie. So he knew what was going on. He was there he was there for the whole thing. And I left that visit, and I once I got back to the truck, I broke down. But in hindsight, it was the most amazing visit I've ever done, and the most difficult visit I've ever done. And I told Ellie, I told her on Wednesday, I said, I hope I never hear from you again because I don't ever want to do this again. But if you ever need me for something like this again, please call me. I did not expect her to call me the next day, which she did, and we did another visit the next day. But it was it makes your heart bigger, and it
Oh yeah.
and sharing the story. I shared the story at Tim's school, and Ellie came in and talked to everybody, and it's now one of my things I want to do is help her get the word out. And the 50-50 raffle we did, we raised $255 for Angel Works. They pay for, when I talked to her, they were paying for on average of 3 funerals a month for children, all pediatric cancer. And they now do on average 4 funerals a month for pediatric cancer. And one of the statistics that she told us during the school was, of all the money, I mean, there's all kinds of money that's put towards cancer research. I mean, it's a huge portion of the budget. 3.8% of it goes to childhood cancer research. That's nothing. And so we need to get the word out. More money. I mean, more money should go to childhood cancer research. But those, home visits and the Make-A-Wish visits, if I can do those again, I'll do those.
Yeah, such a touching story, Ben. Since you're a Santa that makes things happen and have a lot of connections and have worked so diligently to put these kind of things together, you might think about bringing the Ohio Santas together, maybe even the Michigan guys too. But make a phone call and see if you can find a person in hospice that would come out and give you guys some hospice training for children visits. I think it might help the whole group tremendously to be able to get that little bit of training. That way, when you go into something like that, you're not going in blindsided.
Mm-hmm. That's a great idea. Thank you.
Okay, so we're at the halftime point of the show. Time out right here. Take a deep breath. Sip out of that Kringle Tracker cup you got there, and get your throat back under you. We're going to take a break here, and we'll be right back after this.
Hello. 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 Hello.
Hey! Will somebody get the kid a Happy Meal?
No, don't do that.
I sure hope somebody buys Spangle a Happy Meal while we're over in Gatlinburg. All right,
so I like to eat. I'm a fat boy that likes to eat. And hamburgers are good because they're shaped like a cookie. They're round,
Great point.
Hey,
Great point.
Hey,
All right,
this week,
I'm sorry.
all right. Am I supposed to go?
I was just going to say, stop the show. It's time for the Tuesday Night Live Showstopper Special for this week's StuffForSanta.com Showstopper Special. Over to you, Spangle.
All right. Hey, okay, great. This week we're doing the glasses again. You see the glasses that I wear, a lot of the glasses that a lot of the Santas wear. Bob's got glasses very similar to these. He paid hundreds of dollars for his. Ours are $30. But hey, this is the Tuesday Night Live show. You buy one pair, $30. We're going to give you a second pair, no extra charge, and we're going to ship them free. We have silver size strengths 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, and 3.5. We have golds all the way from 0s to 6. Man, I'll tell you what, a 6 is my life-saving survival glass because you could probably start a campfire with them. Anyways, very cool glasses, great for Santa, and great for pictures too because you look right over the top of the lens here. Just wear it down on your nose a little. I like they come with a nice little bend on there like that. I do like to bend mine a little bit more straight because I do wear them down. Right? And they're good glasses. They do it. I put them on my head. After a while, they kind of bend out a little bit. I just give them a little bend like that, and they're back nice and snug. Hey, anyways, $30 a pair. Buy one pair. We're going to ship you two. Let us know the strength and the color, gold or silver color. Check us out. Send me a message.
Special's good through next Monday, April 10th. And the one thing that I really love about these are designers, as Spangle said, and I like this extension that they have on them. It gets the frame out away from your temples. My first pair of glasses, I was getting headaches and couldn't figure out why. It was because these legs here were digging in my temple so deep they were leaving permanent marks that wouldn't go away even if I took my glasses off for days. So that's one of the strong points is the extra room it gives you up here. All right, let's do the commercial. We'll be right back.
Oh, hello there. Yes, of course, it's me, Santa Claus. Now, you may not believe this, but one of the questions I get asked the most is, well, not how do I do it all in one night? No, but where do I get all my things from? Yes, now, what am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about the finest things I have. My glorious gloves, all my knickknacks and trinkets and things. Yes, all the giveaways. Yes, for me to give to the children before the main event. Yes, if I see them in the streets, if they come and see me, I like to have something in my pocket I can treat them with. Yes, and there's one special place where I can find all these magical goods. And that is, of course, StuffForSanta.com. You should head there now and see what magical gifts you can find. Mrs. Claus, have you got my ice pad? Yes, log me on. I'm going to have a look. I shall see you there. StuffForSanta.com. Merry Christmas.
Look who I found.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Good.
Good, man. I like the hat.
Thank you.
Yeah, very becoming of you.
Mrs. Claus made it for me.
I would like to introduce everybody to Nagel the elf.
Hello.
Very nice. My bud. Bam, bam.
That's for you.
Oh.
Over there.
Okay, let's go here. Let's say, what was the first ever Christmas movie with an on-screen appearance of Kris Kringle? What year was it made? How long was it? And who was the director? Get them keyboard fingers going and find the answer.
I know.
What was the first ever Christmas movie with an on-screen appearance of Kris Kringle? What year was it made? How long was it? And who was the director? A multi-question answer or answer question.
Yeah, Ben, you know, because you got the script. Did you happen to go over and YouTube that and watch that video?
I've not yet.
It's pretty cool. I was shocked at the what I found when I was researching this, but many of the trivia questions kind of shocked me, and that's the shock value of why I bring them to the show, because they're unusual. But this one was quite surprising. All right, everyone, work on that, and we're going to jump back into the show at this point. Moving on to the second half of tonight's program, let's continue our conversation with Mr. Ben Bellhorn, Santa Ben, and over to you, Spangle.
All right, Ben, you worked for the Mifflin Township PD, Police Department, and was a deputy sheriff at the Franklin County Sheriff's Office. Tell us about some of the experiences you might have had as a peace officer, and did you ever pull over a Santa while on duty?
Oh, never pulled over Santa. I did. I actually had forgotten. I got to portray Santa as the Mifflin Township police officer at a Christmas party once. But Mifflin Township is a very small department. I think we had 10 officers total, maybe 11. And so after training, there was rarely any more than one officer on the street at a time. And the townships are kind of chewed up by the city of Columbus. and we're on different radios. So when I was in training, we were driving down the street, and the sergeant said, "Now those two houses are in Mifflin, and these ones are not, and that one's in Mifflin, and these ones are not, and over here this is Mifflin." And so it's so broken up, and it's like the Wild West. You're truly out there by yourself. If you ran into problems, you had to call for help. It may be a while until they got there. And Columbus may be right around the corner, but because we're on different radios, they would never know. And so it truly was the Wild West. My wife was very pleased when I put that behind me. But most of the stories I have, I couldn't share in this audience.
Yeah.
Some things are best left unsaid.
I guess I can tell you one. So this is a good story. There's two stories that kind of go together. So I was never comfortable with shotguns. As a child, probably 8 or 9 years old, I was out with my dad and one of his friends, and I wanted to shoot a shotgun. They were out shooting. I think they were shooting clay pigeons, but I was just going to shoot. And they handed me the shotgun and said, "Point that way and shoot." And so I did, and it kicked me and knocked me on the ground, and it hurt. And I was like, I don't like shotguns. And so I went through the police academy, qualified with the shotgun, but didn't, that's really was it. At Mifflin, the shotguns were mounted on a roll cage in the cruiser. And so to check the shotgun, all I would ever do after I got the gear ready is I'd reach up and I'd put my finger in the chamber. And if I could feel one of the shells, okay, it's good. I'm not going to use it anyways. So one particular morning, we had just qualified with our weapons the night before. And so I just used the shotgun the night before. And our shotguns were old. They were junk. And so I hit the release, got the shotgun down. And to check the shotgun, what you would do is unload it, get the 7 shells out, make sure you got 7 shells, put them back in, and you're good. So I got 2 shells out, and then it jammed. And I couldn't figure out how to get the other shells out. And I was like, I could probably figure it out, but here comes Carl, our third shift officer. I'm going to go ask him how to do it. And so I walked over to Carl. He's in his brand new pickup truck. Remember that. And so I handed the shotgun to Carl. I said, "Carl, we're checking the gun, and it jammed. I'm not sure what to do." And he said, "It's no big deal. It happens to all of us." And so he takes the shotgun into his truck, and he's holding it like this, pointing towards the passenger side, which is the only reason I can tell you the story today. And so he takes the shotgun apart, and he gets the jammed shell out, puts it back together, and he racks the slide and pulls the trigger. And this all happened in slow motion. But as he racked the slide and pulled the trigger, I thought, don't do that. But it didn't go off. Then he racked the slide and pulled the trigger again, and we weren't so lucky the second time, and it went off. And it blew a hole through the top of his pickup truck. Now, so we're out in the parking lot. Now, the Mifflin Township Police Station is at the firehouse. And so there's three bays of the firehouse, and one of the bays was eventually converted over to the police station. So it's the size of a fire truck, basically. Now, Willie, the other first shift officer, all he knows is that somebody's shooting out in the parking lot. And so he comes running out the door with his gun ready to go, and he sees me over the bed of Carl's truck, and I'm standing there like this. And he said he's looking in the back window of Carl's truck, and he sees Carl sitting back like this. And he says the only thing he can figure is either Carl shot himself or I shot Carl. And so he said he took another step, and about that time, all this stuff starts falling down out of the sky. It was the top of his truck and the buckshot or whatever. And so Willie, being the great guy he is, ran back in the station and called the chief at home to let him know what was going on. And so we all got to sit there in the station writing our statements. And so Carl was sitting over the table over there, and I was sitting here, and Willie's sitting across from me, and it's very quiet. Nobody's talking. Nobody's saying a word. Carl's very upset at himself and me and everybody. And every few minutes, Willie would just start laughing, which none of us liked. But so there's a police department story for you.
I guess you just need to get him one of those great big bubblegum police lights and put over on the top of his truck. Cover the hole.
I know where you can get a light to put on top of your truck.
Yeah.
All right. That's a great story. I love that. I mean, kind of tragic in a way, but being a brand new truck. But anyway, nevertheless. Ben, you have held various other jobs in your working history throughout your time. But is there anything that you learned from those jobs that has actually helped you in your Santa portrayal?
Yes. So my wife worked for a photo lab, and she got the opportunity that we were given the opportunity to buy the photo lab, and it was at a digital imaging center where you take your film or digital images were all brand new back then, but you take your film and you get it developed and printed, and we could print digital images. We got the opportunity to buy the business, and so I left the police department to go there because we were going to make a fortune. And so we bought the business. And when we first took over the business, it was like printing money. I mean, it was great. And then very quickly, about a year later, the digital world took over and we struggled. We stayed in business for another 4.5, 5 years after that. But it was really tough. People weren't getting pictures printed anymore. But working there, I learned how to make websites. I learned how to do some graphic design work. I learned how to do things like that, which I use on a regular basis now. I've built my website, Ohio Santa's website, some other things. I make my own logo. A lot of things like that. And so those things really have prepared me for what I'm doing now.
Very cool. I know Bobby asked you if you learned anything from your work jobs going into Santa. Now, if it would have been the other way around, it might have helped your whole police job out better. You would have known who was good and who was bad right off the bat.
Right.
Anyways, Ben, you list a whole host of educational training on your site and are a member of MAPS, Michigan Area Association of Professional Santas. Break down each and your highlight of what you took away from them.
Oh, every school you go to, I'm convinced that the schools are to give you the idea of what to talk about with the people that are there. So the schools are all great. Tim's school is great. Gordon's school is great. Charles W. Howard is great. But really, the valuable thing you get from every school, and this is just my opinion, is you're going to take a nugget that you heard in class, and you're going to go out into the lobby, you're going to go to lunch, you're going to go to dinner or whatever, and you're going to take that nugget that you heard, and you're going to share it. And you're going to get 5, 10, 15 other stories to go along with that. And so it becomes exponentially better from what you're doing. And so it becomes the point where the bigger the school or the bigger the draw the school is, the more valuable it is, because not so much because it's Tim's school or it's Gordon's school, but because that school brought people from Michigan, Kentucky, Florida. You're bringing in people from there. Charles W. Howard brings people from all over the world. And so you're sharing with all these people. And that is truly the value of what it is. If I have a meeting here, if I were to have a school or a meeting here, and I bring in people from a 10-mile radius of where I am or whatever it is, that's great. But a lot of us have the same experiences. And so it's not quite as valuable. I mean, in some ways it's more valuable. But when you're pulling people from farther away, you just get so many different perspectives. And so every opportunity I have to go to a school, watch the videos, to go to a gathering, I try to do those. And if you walk away from one of those things with 1 or 2 nuggets that you can share, it was worth every penny.
Yeah, I agree.
Your question still, Spangle?
Oh, sorry.
We're going
I mean, 2 different websites, the OhioSantas.com and the SantaNU.com. Tell us the requirements and how to join the Ohio Santas and how folks watching on YouTube can hire you at Christmas.
So Ohio Santas, pretty stringent requirements. The biggest requirement is you have to either live or work in Ohio. You have to be a Christmas performer who either lives or works in Ohio or would be willing to accept a job in Ohio. So if the right job came available, would you travel to Ohio to do the job? If you can answer yes to that, then you're qualified. Then you have to promise to agree to the Santa Claus oath, to the Ohio Santa's mission statement, which is basically be nice to each other, support each other, lift each other up, and be better. If you can do those things, then be better. We're not in competition with each other. None of us are competing with each other. If I do something to make you better, then that's great. If you make me better, that's great. There is plenty of work to be had. And
Absolutely.
so that is, that is it. If you love Christmas and you're a performer and you're willing to accept a job in Ohio, if you're willing to come from Texas to do a job in Ohio, then we welcome you to it. Now, you may say it would have to be an amazing job. They'd have to pay, lodging and airfare and all that. Well, if they're willing to pay that, I had an opportunity my first year and I didn't take the opportunity, but I had the opportunity to fly to El Paso, Texas and do a mall. They were going to pay for airfare and lodging. And when they called me, I hadn't even done my first visit yet. And I said no, because I thought I might get more visits that weekend. But I wish I had of. So that's what it takes to become Ohio Santa. And to hire me, you go to santanew.com. And at the top of the page, there's a link that says, get a quote or hire me or something like that. And if you do that, you go to a Kringle Tracker leads page and you put all your information in and it shows up in my email. And then we book the job. It's so easy.
Yeah. And now that we're over on YouTube, we're getting a lot of folks outside of the Christmas entertainers portion, more in the general public area that are watching. So that's why we threw that question in there. It may be somebody watching that wants to hire you as a Santa for Christmas time.
Don't wait. I'm already booking up my weekends. So book soon and often.
There you go. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So Ben, stay with us because we're not done yet. This is the first Tuesday of the month, and we have a third trivia question and giveaway for those watching us live tonight. Angela Spring and Jessica Rosa right here for our trivia question, brought to you by HolidayPhotoMagic.com. Hi, Jessica.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Are you enjoying the show?
I am absolutely enjoying the show. I've been sitting here listening, and it's been very good so far. It's been great.
Ben's been a great guest, absolutely. All right, so before you read the trivia question, let's do the lead-in real quick, and we'll be right back.
Okay.
Hold on, my computer is acting up here. Okay, here we go.
Here we go.
Before she goes on like that and says anything, I want you to know that little sign that says Spangled drives me crazy. She didn't use much gas for that car ride.
No, this is true. I was really laughing about your story with, at the police station, because I'm sorry, that's something that I would have done. I would have been Carl. And then I would have been like, well, who loaded that? Realizing it was me. Well, who did that? So, okay. Well, here is our trivia question for this month. It says, who took the very first photos with Santa Claus? Give me the name of the photographer, the store, the year, and location. This time, I'm going to make you work for it this time, guys.
Not like last night.
Now, couldn't the answer be who took the very first photos with Santa Claus? Duh, the children.
Well, who professionally, I guess, who set up the very first studio and took photos with Santa Claus, because there was somebody. And what's kind of crazy about this story is that, I mean, you really got to give the guy props, because he's what created an entire industry for the Christmas community, because he's what he saw the value of capturing those memories for Christmas and do you know that he charged $1 a photo?
No, wait a minute. I didn't know Larry was that old.
Well, I thought it was Jessica.
So
it wasn't you,
And-
Jessica.
and-
right?
So one of the clues that she just gave was he. So that
Oh,
helps you
yeah.
out a little
Oh.
bit there.
Well, prior to 1985, most of the photographers were gentlemen.
Right.
Matter of fact, when I started out in my career, I was it was 1986, 1987. And I was even suggested that I would make a great camera room assistant, that the cameras were too heavy for me. And I was just like, well, I was a high school student and a lot younger and smaller than I am now. But let me tell you, I got the shoulders of a linebacker. I mean, you walk around with that, the Sunpack flash that was about this big battery pack, and a Veronica, and then I had a Hasselblad. I mean, it was a sight to see
Making me tired just thinking about it.
as a young girl walking around with all this gear on me. I mean, it was very tactical. I mean, people were like, who's the high school student with the camera?
Trust me, I see Jessica all the time. I mean, we're at her studio, at her house, in my shop. It's always a sight to see, even to this day.
You would think that was endearing and sweet, but we know it wasn't.
Exactly. All right, Jessica, if you want to hang out with us, do so. We don't have much show left here at this point, but Spangle is.
All right, Ben. Let's see if our viewers have any questions or comments for you.
Be nice.
Come on, folks, get the fingers
nice.
working.
It looks like, by the way, we've got some good answers coming in for Jessica's holidayphotomagic.com trivia questionnaire. So it's good to see folks are working hard to get the answers.
I want to tell you too that we after I came back from an event earlier this month, my websites were all down and email was gone, and so I ended up switching my service provider. So our service provider. Well, I'm not moving School of Santas until after the event, because I'm not rewriting the site twice, but Ben completely understands what I'm talking about. But so holidayphotomagic.com is back. And you can also see some of my work at jrosaphoto.com. So both of those, and super excited about going to Gatlinburg and hosting the Tuesday Night Live show in my booth. It's going to be so awesome. I'm just so excited. This is amazing.
And that is booth numbers.
Well, it's 2, 3, and 4. And we're on the left side of the building, or if you walk through the front doors, we're on the left side all the way up against the wall.
Absolutely. So if you're coming to Gatlinburg, find us. Scott Sarton and I will be over in our booth with Jessica and in her booth. But we'll have a little corner there and be broadcasting live throughout the day. We're going to walk around the vendors room, interviewing vendors, shoppers, Santas, Mrs. Clauses, elves. Going to be a fantastic time, and Jessica will be busy the whole time taking photos. So,
well, I hope so. And then plus my new assistant, who my new production assistant is going to be joining me as well. So if you guys would love to come by and say hi to Ivan. Now, don't scare him off. You all be nice to him, all right? Because I need him to help me get my images done. So, but he's going to get to, this is going to be his first experience at a Santa event. And he's a little blown out of the water by it because it's taken him a second to kind of, he's like, this is real. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's amazing. So he's going to be great.
Remind him he needs to wear his boots and his waiter pants.
Yeah,
it's probably going to get deep. So, all right.
Was there any questions that came in?
We do. Santa Mel wants to know, what's your favorite moment from Santa schools this past year, Ben?
Favorite moment from Santa schools. Actually, because Mel asked the question, my favorite moment from any of the Santa schools I went to was at Charles W. Howard, and it was watching a new friend of ours, Kelly Jordan, who was doing a story for the Detroit Free Press, and watching her figure out what her story was going to be. And her story really ended up being about Mel, but it was about our little group. I mean, it was the whole school, but it was focused on our group of Santas. I have a group of we have a chat group that we talk every day, multiple times a day. And she followed us around for the entire, are we keeping secrets from each other? What are we doing? Are we whispering? I don't have anything.
No, I hollered for my husband to bring me my charger.
I felt left out there for a minute.
Because my phone.
I didn't know what was going on either.
Sorry, I didn't want to be like.
No, but the best moment was watching that. But the other best moment was and I said before that as you go to the bigger the school you go to, the higher profile the Santas are. And I was walking down the hallway at the hotel, and Steve Gillum was there. And I went up and I introduced myself to him, and we stood in the hallway and talked for an hour. And I was like, after we got done talking, I walked out of there and I was like, oh my God. I mean, he is, wow, right? And I walked into the lobby and there's Courtney Lofton. And I was like, and I went over and I was like, Courtney, my name is Ben Bellhorn. I am a huge fan of yours. And he said, and I'll never forget, he goes, well, I'm a big fan of yours. I'm like, I'm pretty sure you've never heard of me, but thank you so much. That made me feel good. But experiencing that and sharing it with my friends was the best. And then they took me to a reindeer farm with real reindeer. It was so cool.
All right. Rex Ray wants to know how much of your time is spent doing Ohio Santa's business.
Way too much. I probably do stuff every day. And there are many times where I have to stop and go, you know what? You've done all this stuff on the Ohio Santa's website, or you've done these posts on the Ohio Santa's Facebook page. You know, maybe you ought to do some stuff on your own page. You know, maybe it's time to update that a little bit. And actually that leads into another one of the questions probably the next question you're going to ask me, Spangle. Is there anything else? Because I spend so much time on ohiosantas.com and the group and on my own website, I thought, you know what? Why not put together another website and, you know, spend some time there too? And so I did. So I www.santacommunity, just santa.community. And it is a website I put together that has, hopefully at some point, all of the schools. It has a calendar with all the different events. And so my goal or my hope, my vision for it is it to be one place that you can go and say, in June, these are all the schools that are being offered. These are all the events, the gatherings, the meetings, the things. And then hopefully when somebody goes to schedule a school or a gathering or whatever, maybe they'll look at it and go, you know what? I don't want to do it this weekend because there's already 3 or 4 other things going on that weekend. So maybe we'll do it this weekend when there's nothing. And so that's my goal. That's the vision. It's got a place for schools, a place for vendors. It's got a place for portrayal artists, which really isn't for customers to find. I suppose they could. My idea behind it was It's broken down by state. And so if you are in Tennessee and you're like, you know what, I want to find other Santa Clauses in Tennessee that I can network with and visit with and learn from, you can go there and find their email and phone numbers and things like that. And so that's really the purpose of the portrayal artist portion of it. But the vendors and the schools and the events, that's really just so you can find. I found out that I was going all over the place trying to find that information myself. And as I was finding that information, I was like, you know what? It would be nice if there was one place that had all this. And then I was like, you got free time, go ahead and do it yourself. So I spend way too much time doing it. And I can say that because my wife will probably never watch this, and she's not home right now.
Very good. I think that takes us into the answers, Bob.
All right, we have another question from Kimmy.
Hi, Kimmy.
Kimmy Claus, Ben, are you in need of a decorating hostess?
A decorating hostess for, I mean, yeah, probably. Is that not good? I mean,
Not sure what she's talking about there, but hey, she decorated for Tim's class, so she's
did
the
an
one to
amazing
call,
job.
right?
I can't say enough that, well, actually, anybody that came to Gordon's class, you walked in and it was just the real estate office. That's probably what it was going to be here. It was just at a hotel. And so all the decorations that were there, those were all Kimmy. She did an amazing job. Thank you so much, Kimmy.
And then Everett Pastrana wants to know, how long have you been a Santa?
So in 2020, I became a Santa, but I did not perform as a Santa until 2021. So I have 2 seasons under my belt, 21 and 22. So 2 years.
2 good years.
2 great years. I really owe it all to, I think the first step was getting a nice suit. The suit I have, Deb Muma, she did, and Roberta Wells, they did my suit, and Deb retired. Sorry, you missed it. She did an amazing job. Her prices were great. I spent way too much money there with her this year, and I kept ordering more stuff because I thought maybe if I kept ordering stuff, she'd not retire. But she finally finished everything, so I guess that's over. But so I had the look down, or at least the suit. I was already had the jolly belly and the beard is growing in, and I have to bleach it. So I had the look, and then I met people when I started. And it kind of goes back to what I said before. I don't remember visiting Santa as a child, and then when I took my kids to see Santa, what a good Santa was is one that looked like Santa. And so my vision of a Santa Claus was just the look of it and somebody there. And so I never, there was not a performance vision that I had. And I was inspired by the movie The Greatest Showman. That actually, I have a quote from P.T. Barnum sewed into my coat because, and it's not Christmas, it's not, but he wanted to take what he had and make a show out of it, make a performance out of it. And I was like, I want to do that. And in my mind, and this is sad and funny all at the same time, I was like, I'm going to be the best Santa Claus there is. I was like, that's my goal. That's what it was. And so I had that goal up through the Sat Bob school. And as we started the Sat Bob school, I was like, I'm going to be the best Santa Claus there is. And Michael Howell was there. And I saw, and if you've ever visited with Michael Howell, he goes from being Michael Howell to being Santa Claus on a level that is untouchable. And I watched him do that. And I was like, oh, I can't be the best Santa Claus there is. And truly for like an hour was like, wow, I can't do it. And then it dawned on me, I was like, that was a very, very unhealthy goal to have. Nobody is the best Santa Claus there is. And so my goal very quickly became, I want to be the best Santa Claus I can be. And that is a moving line. It's a line I'm chasing every day. The best Santa Claus I can be today at the end of this interview is different than the best Santa Claus I'm going to be tomorrow and the next day. And so it's a line that I'm going to chase until the chase is over. And so recognizing that and learning that was way healthier. But it taught me that I'm going to take something I learned from Spangle. I'm going to use it. I'm going to take the little squeaky thing that Gordon does and use that, which Logan uses all the time. He walks around squeaking everything in the world. But so that is 2 years, and it's a race. It's a marathon. I'm off.
Squeaker is the best 50 cents you'll ever spend. So, comment that came in further up the page that we kind of skipped over. Let's go back and pick it up real quick. It's Santa Ho Ho Gary wants to know if your income was low when you started being Santa. How did you get the money to start with so you could do your Santa?
So, I had a really good job at one point. When I worked for the Transit Authority, I was making really good money. And so I had a little bit of extra money that we were able to use. And my investment the first year was the suit. And it was a lot of money, but compared to a lot of suits out there, it really wasn't. And so, for what I got, it was a very good value. And so I wasn't spending a lot the first year. I paid for the suit, which if we had not already ordered the suit and had not already put a deposit, when I lost my job, that would have been the end of it. Because I went from making just under 6 figures to a third of that, maybe. And so it was tough. And the easy thing would have been to, you know what, we're not going to do this. I can't afford to do it. And it was one of the things that if you couldn't do it right, I wasn't going to do it. If it was going out and picking up a really cheap suit, it's not what I wanted to do. And it's not that that's wrong. It's just, I thought I needed that to do it. But because we'd already put a big deposit down on the suit, we committed to it. And so the suit was the only thing I bought leading into my first year. And then I had a really good first year. I was very pleased with how I did. And so having that allowed me to go to my first school. I applied for a scholarship through iBurbs, and I won the scholarship from iBurbs. And then I had a friend of mine, an amazing friend of mine, who gave me a scholarship out of his own pocket to combine with the iBurb scholarship, which because of that is what allowed me to go to Charles W. Howard last year. And then this past year, I did 3 times what I did my first year. So it made it a lot easier to continue. But if money was tight, I don't know that we probably wouldn't be talking right now.
Let's see, do we have anything else here? I'm not sure if Santa Ho Ho Gary is addressing you or Jessica, but said, please give address to your new site again. Not sure which one he's talking about. So both of you give your address again.
You go ahead first.
So it depends on which one. So my Santa Claus's website is santaandyou.com with A&D, not the ampersand. And then Ohio Santas is ohiosantas.com. And then the new Santa community is www, and I have to say that because it sounds weird not putting a .com or whatever on the end, but it's www.santa.community. And then nothing else after community. So those are my web addresses. I have some other ones, but not Santa related.
Mine are holidayphotomagic.com and jrosaphoto.com. Rosa Photo is more of my professional photographer site. So you'll see some of my graphic design work and some of the fun projects that I've kind of done for like Christmas cards and things like that. But Holiday Photo Magic is the site that is strictly for the Santa community. As last year was such a big growth year for me, I made the decision to no longer do portraits, which is portraits of families and high school seniors and weddings. But I'm just strictly working for the Christmas community now.
And Spangle.
Well, I never stop working for you.
That's 24/7.
The Christmas community and crazy people.
Well, no, it's good. It's good because I mean I really enjoy it. It's being a portrait photographer for almost 30 years and being a part of the PPA community. I love the fact that I got to start my career in film and transition to digital, but now I get to do something that is just the most fun job ever. I mean, being able to help people communicate and embrace Christmas and share your portrayal, your job, your passion. Oh, I'm all about it. It's so awesome.
And
funny you
Jackie
say that.
Chamberlain says, just an observation, but doesn't Jessica's lighting look phenomenal?
Yeah, I did until I unplugged the cord.
What about mine?
But
And
thank you,
Rex-
Jackie. Thank you. Thank you.
Rex Ray wants to know, have you added additional suits since that first one, Ben?
Yes. Because Deb was retiring, this was supposed to be her last year. And so I talked to her last year when she announced that she was retiring at the end of this year. And I said, I need to be on your, well, actually we had driven, she'd moved from Minnesota to Kentucky, and Melissa and I drove down to Kentucky, and she was doing some alterations on my suit. And while we were there, this is before she announced to the world, she said she's retiring. And I was like, oh my. And so we left there, and I'm so happy this worked out this way. As we were leaving her driveway, my wife turned to me, she goes, you need to order a new suit before she's done. And I was like, yes, we do. And then we talked about it, and I actually ordered 2 suits. I ordered one that was essentially identical to my first suit. So I have 2 virtually identical suits. And then I have one that has a parade coat. And then I have a couple vests I ordered and shirts. I ordered a lot this year. But again, for what I got, I did not pay an astronomical amount. It was amazing. And I knew I had to order I was not planning on ordering suits this year. But now I have 3 separate suits, and one of those suits, when you change out vests and things like that, I've probably got 4 or 5 different looks with just that one suit.
All right, before we go on to reveal tonight's trivia answers, Ben, is there anything that we haven't talked about that you wanted to share, or any final thoughts you have before we move on?
No, and I want to quote, really, there's not, but I want to share the Santa community again. Somebody I saw asked where the list of the schools is. There's that, and it's only as good as the schools that I've either found or people submit. And then to quote my Michigan brothers, we're better together. And so one of the things I try to do is do things. I want to do things for myself. I want to do more for myself and spend a little bit more time doing my stuff. But the Ohio Santas and the Santa community, that's for the community, and it's for to make all of us be better. And so if in doing that, it makes me better, makes you better. We're sharing our web addresses, we're sharing all this stuff. And so do something for somebody else, and it'll help you.
Well said. Okay, so let's go ahead and reveal tonight's trivia answers. SchoolofSantas.com. Branson is home to several noteworthy roadside record-setting attractions. The world's largest rooster, is named Mr. Peck, P-E-C-K, like the peck. And he is 43 feet tall. And he sits out on the corner of Branson's Great American Steak and Chicken House. And if you've been to School of Santas, you know that because it's on the corner of Tanger and the main drag, and the School of Santas is right behind it.
Now I want to say something before you guys reveal the answer or reveal the winner to this, because they did do a name change, and so just in case somebody said the new name, they have deleted steak out of the name of the restaurant.
So what is it now? What is it now?
The Great American Chicken House.
Oh, okay. So they did
In
away
case
with
somebody wrote that answer down, they would be legitimately correct now.
Okay. All right. So and he's pretty cool. He stands right out there on the corner, and you can't miss him because he's towering over the strip, and he is an eye catcher. And what do we have?
And you can walk underneath them, but be careful when you look up.
It will be David Heil.
All right, so our winner there is David Heil. David, if you will, either send me or Spangle your full mailing address so we can get your
Wrong.
Wait,
Wrong.
no. That's Phyllis Santos. I'm sorry. Whoa. Let's back up. Your name goes into the hat for the drawing for a scholarship. I'm sorry. My mistake. Now then to the prize. StuffForSanta.com. What was the first ever Christmas movie with an on-screen appearance of Kris Kringle? That was Santa Claus, of all things. And we're talking about the 1898 British 2-minute film. If you have not seen it, go over and Google it. It's a short, silent drama film, and it's really cool. I watched it several times. Of course, 2 minutes, doesn't take long to watch it several times. And it's directed by George Albert Smith. And our winner there for the glasses are?
Scott Becker.
Scott Becker wins that one. Fantastic, Scott. All right, now then, I don't remember. I think we do have your address, but just in case we don't, send it to us. That way we can get that out to you.
We have it somewhere.
And Jessica, I'm going to let you do your segment here.
Okay. But I don't know who the winner is.
Well, we'll give that. Just give the answer, and then we'll give you the winner.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, gotta grab my notes. Sorry. And okay, the question was, who took the very first photos with Santa Claus? The place or town was in Seattle, and the name of the photographer is Arthur French, and the name of the store is Frederick, and I'm doing this from memory because I didn't write down my answers.
Nelson.
Frederick
and Nelson.
Frederick and Nelson.
Department
and
store.
The year, that was the department store. And then the year is 1943.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And that's the holidayphotomagic.com. And our winner for that is?
Jeff Olette.
Jeff Olette gets that one. Fantastic,
Yay!
Jeff. Good job. Now, Jeff, you're going to have to get with Jessica, send her a private message or send her an email and work out what you want to choose as your prize. She has multiple things that she's offering for her segment. So get with her and work that out. All right, over to you, Spangle.
All right, Ben, one last question. Who is the most famous person you have met as Santa or otherwise? And if you could, what famous person would you wish to meet, past or present?
Ooh, so the most famous person I've met as Santa would either be the Grinch or, of course, Nigel the Elf. Otherwise, it would be Judd Hirsch or Robin Williams. Robin Williams is kind of a cool story if you've got like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So Melissa and I owned a photo lab in downtown Columbus, and about a block away was the Palace Theater, and Robin Williams was performing at the Palace Theater, and we had tickets to go see it. And we made deliveries. We went around to different corporate offices and dropped off pictures and picked up film and things like that. And I was coming in, there was a big crowd behind the Palace Theater. So I stopped, and Robin Williams is out there talking to the crowd, just in the alley behind the theater. And so I stopped to talk to him, and we visited for a few minutes, and he was doing autographs as we were talking. And he's like, "Do you want an autograph?" And I said, "Yes." And so I grabbed the piece of paper I had in my pocket, and he signed it. And I thought it was so cool. And he left, and I was walking over to back to the photo lab, and I realized the piece of paper I used to have him sign was the ticket to go in and see him, which I had to give to the box office when we went in. And I tried to negotiate with him. I was like, obviously the ticket's not any good after today. Can you just say, yes, let me in? No. So one of the ticket people have Robin Williams' autograph on my ticket, probably.
Oh, man, that's a bummer.
And who would I like to meet? We go to Colonial Williamsburg every few years, and there's a man there, Bob Barker, who does Thomas Jefferson. And when you listen to him, I really believe that he is Thomas Jefferson. And I would love to meet Thomas Jefferson after that. I think that sitting down talking to him would be amazing.
And remember to have all your animals sprayed and neutered. Oh, wait, that's wrong, Bob Barker, isn't it?
That's The Price is Right.
Right, Spangle.
All right, join us next week for our next TNL Tuesday Night Live episode, and be sure to tune in to next Monday's Bob Randall and Company show to see what kind of shenanigans those two are up to. And you can bet there's something going on there.
Oh yeah, always is, always something. And just real
Randall
quick,
is so much fun.
just so you know, next week's guest for the Tuesday Night Live show will be the one, the only, the world famous Mr. Jeff McMullen, and we are so excited to have him next week. So join us next week for that. Michael, you got any closing thoughts? Anything you want to say?
Well, the only thing I want to say is, good night, Logan.
Fantastic, man. Thank you so much, brother, for joining us and being our featured guest tonight. Man, I'll tell you what.
He said good night.
I know that you were a little bit nervous because you've already revealed that coming into this, but you knocked it out of the ballpark, my friend. Great interview, great show tonight, and we are just always excited to have new folks, as Mr. Rex Ray had mentioned to us before about bringing some of the new guys and let's hear some new perspectives, and so we were excited to get you on board and bring you in, and looking forward to you coming back and doing this again sometime soon. Big thank you to the schoolofsantas.com, stuffforsanta.com, holidayphotomagic.com for everything that they contribute to the show. Don't forget, all of our shows are recorded and can be found on our Facebook group as well as our YouTube channel, The Tuesday Night Live Show. While you're over there on YouTube, be sure and look up the Bob Randall and Company Live previous show. We got our own channel over there. It's slowly but surely beginning to grow. We could use some more subscriptions. If you get over there, give us a subscribe. All right. Tell everyone good night, Spangle.
Good night, Spangle.
Fantastic. Remember to join us for our next Tuesday Night Live each week, 7 p.m. Central, same Claus time, same Claus channel. It's not your blessings, not your sorrows. Have a blessed week. Until next time, on behalf of Mr. Ben, Jessica, Angela, Spangle, and myself, I'm Santa Bob McMaster saying good night. Remember, always let your Santa and Mrs. Claus heart shine bright. Never stop learning. Hope to see you back here on Monday and right back here on Tuesday night. Good night, all.
Good night. Good night.
Good night,
Stick around,
John Boy.
Ben. Stick around, Ben. We'll talk in the green room.